Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to The Conscious View. I am Tamara. This is my co-star, my sister, my co-creator, Ogana, all the way from Saudi Arabia.
Hi, world. Hi. How is everyone in this beautiful, a bit of challenging times? But let's see if we can see in this episode, see the silver lining.
Yes. So what an auspicious moment to talk about a very important part of a spiritual toolbox is how to survive a Mercury retrograde. We're going to be releasing this with Mercury's blessing and hopefully cooperation during this spring's Mercury retrograde. For those who don't know, Mercury retrograde occurs about 3 to 4 times a year. If we're lucky, just 3. And it is a time that I was actually doing a little bit of research before we jumped on here, just so I could explain a little bit better what a Mercury retrograde is. Ogana and I are not astrologers by any means, but we definitely subscribe to a lot of the philosophies that come along with it, and we have witnessed the Mercury retrograde. So in doing research, it's actually very common that people who are not even in the spiritual community are noticing the effects of Mercury retrograde, especially because we live in such a hugely dependent upon a technology society. And Mercury rules technology, communication, logic, those sorts of things. So when Mercury goes into retrograde, it kind of looks like it's going backward. It's an optical illusion. It's not going backwards at all. Planets all rotate the same way. But what really happens that I've witnessed in my own life is that the energies that normally come naturally because we are gifted them by Mercury kind of are a little bit subdued and a little bit confused. So we really have to go inwards and rely on ourselves to provide that kind of energy, but it can make us really turn inward. And that's one of the things that they caution about is becoming a lone wolf. This is not a time to become a lone wolf. This is a time to actually, ask others for help. This is a really good time in practicing vulnerability. It's a good time in learning to practice setting your boundaries and saying what you're feeling. Like if you're feeling like I can't complete this project or I can't make that appointment, like this is a time to really honor that.
I love that you mentioned that. It's and it's something that it's so interesting because it's supposed to be in integrity all the time. And like always be true to our hearts and to our feelings, and that we are like in more in a unity consciousness where like in as within so without, but we are trained to not do that. Suppress, put on a face, put on an act, and Mercury will push you beyond your edge and will show your true color. It will challenge you to like not take it anymore. Like you can't with Mercury. It will just show that, truth. It will push you to it.
That is one of the things that is very common, that things that are maybe not up to par, they're lacking, things that are faulty in your life, Mercury is going to push those right up to the surface and be like, hey, see this? You see it? You are comfortable. Now's the time to deal with those things. And there's a lot of doom and gloom surrounding Mercury retrograde. I know when I first really started witnessing them, I approached it from a logical perspective because I wasn't fully deep into following my heart space. I was still very much operating from a form of logic and from like that social conditioning, right? And I just started witnessing the world around me when people said this was occurring, just to witness it without putting any intention into it, without trying to put my own opinion into what I was observing. And I witnessed it in people, and it just became very apparent that this is a very real thing that people have to deal with. And at first it became so daunting. Like it was like, oh no, Mercury retrograde is coming. Everybody panic. Everybody like get your hazmat suits on, and then eventually you start learning that there are some really positive things about Mercury retrograde. So I think what we should do is maybe explain some of the negative things to the viewers about what can occur, what can you expect with a Mercury retrograde on a general level. And then I did make a couple notes about this specific Mercury retrograde because it's in Pisces. So what that might mean. So for you, what have you noticed? Like, what are the worst challenges that you have to go through during a Mercury retrograde? I know the shadow period. Maybe explain to the viewers what the shadow period is, because I know you and I struggle more with the shadow period. And I think that has to do with Virgo on our charts. So that's something else. Viewers, look into your charts, because that's really going to correlate with what you're going to experience. But yeah, so what are your biggest challenges?
For me, it's definitely the shadow period. I mean, I had been consciously journaling and following like for years, a good 4 years now. Like this is probably the fourth year where I'm noticing, as just like you said, not like, okay, I know that this is like being skeptical, being a scientist about it. Like, is it really gonna affect me? Let's see if it's really gonna affect me. And every time it happens, it's certain things, like certain patterns occur, like the same things happen again and again. I'm like, okay, and I'm able. That's what I love the most about astrology. It makes me take, not be angry at, not take things personally for myself, and not judge people so harshly. And not coming from ego. Like they're not coming from ego. They're like really influenced by all of these things. It's not just them trying to be mean or anything,
Yes.
So I've noticed it, and definitely one of the things is just like when you freeze. And like that's how I describe it. The wires between my head and my tongue are just like mismatched, cut off, or I don't know what's happening.
Yes, and that is probably, I would agree with you. That is my most challenging thing with Mercury retrograde, is the connection, because it's all about communication, and our body communicates with itself to do things. And I find the brain-body connection is so disrupted, especially the brain-mouth connection. I know what I want to say, and in my head it can be really clear, really eloquent. It can have all the information, and then when it tries to come out my mouth, I have actually noticed, even when I'm writing, I will write words backwards. And then I'm getting frustrated with writing because I have to keep going back and changing it. And it's actually with my mouth the same thing. I call them tooth mubbles instead of mouth troubles, because that's what would come out, tooth mubbles. And it is one of the most frustrating things, I think, with a lot of people. They have stuff they want to say, and it's not coming out properly. And then there's also the miscommunication that occurs between people, between you and technology. You may be saying something, but the connections for them to receive it may be disrupted and glitchy, so they do not understand it. You may be like, oh, so I noticed today the sky is blue. And somebody will be like, oh, so you saw that the sky was green. And you're like, nope, it was blue. But they just can't hear what you're saying. And likewise, you can't hear them properly either. So this is a really good time to sharpen skills of patience. And I really love how you brought attention to understanding what other people are going through. I find being knowledgeable about Mercury retrograde allows me to navigate through the matrix, and even through my spiritual connections. I can kind of go, oh, Mercury has your tongue, or if things aren't going well, or like, people in the matrix definitely don't navigate it well. So they get frustrated and they'll act out on those frustrations more so than the spiritual community. And I can deal with them in a more compassionate and understanding way of just realizing that, like, they're struggling so hard. And even if I'm in a place where I have, a surplus of energy, I can kind of try to send them specific energy to help them find their tongue, or to help them find their calm or their peace. If I have the energy. That's the other thing about Mercury retrograde, is it's tiring.
Physically, It's like, I don't know if it messes up with your hormones or something, but it definitely has to do with the the wiring, the nervous system. It's like, so like your brain and your nerves also
Yeah.
and also your emotional nerves. It's like everything is on the edge, or like all of your buttons are just exposed. Everything, all your triggers gonna be like exaggerated. So it happens because we need that. Because if we were not pushed to the edge, we will be in their comfort zone, and it's not gonna be good for evolution. Like, we're just gonna live in circles. So this is a kind of like a nature's trick to shake things up for us, like, like, hey,
I
hey, we should do something about this.
I love that. That is a really important point that you just brought up. And I think that you just triggered a wisdom in me of understanding why Mercury retrograde happens 3 times
Yeah.
a year. Because Mercury retrograde is the time of the rees. You'll notice in the spiritual community, there's the rees, right? So you renew, you revisit, you reassess, you realign, and you reinvigorate. And that part that you brought about evolution, it's almost like, we're in a soul school. Like, that's basically what life
That's
is.
what Earth is. Yeah.
That's what Earth is this big soul school. So it would make sense that as we learn and we grow periodically throughout the year, we would almost have exams. So this is like study period, right? So we're reassessing, we're renewing, we're making that evolution happen. And Mercury causes that uncomfortableness that shocks us into growing and to furthering our evolution. That was a beautiful, beautiful point, and makes me kind of respect Mercury on a whole different level, even though I've come to love Mercury retrograde, but we'll get to that after. So some of the other more negative things that our viewers can expect is breakdowns. So cars breaking down, machines breaking down, relationships breaking down, dynamics.
Nervous breakdowns.
You might break down, your body might break down. So a lot of breakdowns can happen, but on the positive side, breakdowns, things sometimes have to be broken in order to be rebuilt. So when we feel that things might be falling apart, what they're probably doing is actually falling together. So another thing is glitches. I've noticed this. Snapchat is broken. Like, everything is going to come in glitchy.
Oh yeah.
Expect it. That's one thing that you can't help in a Mercury retrograde is the technological issues. They are going to happen. If you resist them and you get frustrated, it's going to perpetuate the glitches because your energy is now going into it and expecting it to be glitchy, and it's just going to get worse and worse. So this is a time to really be patient with technology and give yourself more time. If you're going to send an email, don't think that it's going to be a quick 2-minute email. Expect that you're going to have to put maybe 10 minutes into it to make sure that it went, and then check it. Mercury teaches us to check everything. Check your spelling, check editing. I mean, I'm really bad for this. Grammar and spelling, something I don't usually catch, but make sure that people are getting those emails. Don't leave a voicemail and not check in on it. Like, you want to be really diligent at this time to make sure that those things are going through. You cannot rely on technology right now. Hermes is on vacation. He is not working right now. And
messages on time.
Right. And if you don't know who Hermes is the ruling god in Greek mythology of the planet of Mercury. So I guess I should explain those things and not assume everybody knows what I'm talking about. And
if I might just mention, because you mentioned Hermes and how he's like probably like sleeping or something, or is it something else is travel. So Hermes, like, the messenger is being delayed because it's caught up in the traffic, or like the slowing down, or the all of these things that are surfacing up, making like all these obstacles, making things slow down. So you get delays in travel and stuff. That's another symptom of Mercury.
Thank you for bringing that up. Like, that was another one I was going to bring up. This is not a good time to plan travels. I know I don't travel a lot, but I know that I would plan them around a Mercury retrograde. This is just expect delays. If you have to travel, just expect delays. Be prepared, extra prepared. you know, it's not necessarily that you're going to have unsafe travel. So like, let's make that super clear. It's just going to be not as smooth running as you're going to want it to be, unfortunately. So another really, I haven't witnessed this in my own life personally, but I am witnessing it through like the past couple of years through other people's experiences, is breakups can happen a lot during Mercury retrogrades. Like we said, things that are faulty or are not up to par, things that are, you know, maybe not resonating with your new vibration that need to be purged. That stuff does come to the surface. But yet, intuitively, I would always caution people to not make rash decisions during a Mercury retrograde. Maybe just witness what is happening and, you know, take note and then visit it.
Reflect.
Yeah, reflect on it all, but don't make the rash decision right now. Wait until Mercury retrograde is over. I mean, obviously, there's your circumstance may require that you need to leave now, but sometimes we're not logical. Mercury does rule logic, and this is a time where people can be very irrational, very impulsive, very abrupt, and it's not a good time to
acting on those triggers, and instead of acting on like the true like valid reason.
Yes, before you make a decision, especially a huge decision, take in mind those reassess, reassign, reflect, and see if like that is truly the thing to do. And if you can, wait until after the Mercury retrograde passes to see if those feelings were just based solely in emotion. Like that is the other thing that hybridastrology.com, I love them. If you guys don't follow them, I love him. He's amazing. He really highlighted that this Mercury retrograde being in Pisces, logic is not here. It is not here right now.
Very emotional.
It's very emotional. And of course, our emotions are super important. But our first instinctive emotions are usually based on something not related to the actual situation and based on something that occurred in the past. So this is a time to really look back and see what is triggering you, why it's triggering you, and not make those decisions if possible. This is a time to just brainstorm. It's not saying like sit around and do nothing. This is a time to just really truly go in and figure out all of the important details. It's a really
the details. That's something that Mercury is all about details, and Virgos are about details too. Like we're wanting to being perfectionists, wanting to to see every little thing be okay and be perfect and be aligned. And for me personally, that I'm like I feel like I'm the perfect example for you guys, because I'm a Virgo, and I also I've been working with Mercury retrograde so much. So for me is I get into these tense decisions that are coming from triggers, and I understood that triggers and glitches in in technology. So glitches in technology and then the emotional triggers are kind of like the same thing. It's like there's a glitch, but in your emotional life and your relationships, and it's okay. It's okay if and
that's another thing too. When we know that there's misunderstandings and miscommunication, we have to really look at, are we being triggered or did we assume something as well? Because there's the danger of that miscommunication. So when you're being triggered by something, you have to really look at, am I being triggered by the appropriate thing for this situation? Or am I having a miscommunication? Was like there like a little glitch in my emotions? And I feel like there has been for me too, like almost like the lines are crossed between emotions. That's been brought up, like when like moments where I like should be experiencing like maybe a sad moment, I'll have like a feeling of anger instead. So it's kind of like the lines are being crossed. So again, reassessing and really looking into what's going on with you.
And that triggers, like if you work with triggers, is a really beautiful way. Like if you use it, for me, I use it because I have I have this whole practice, which is ego transmutation, which is best habit. You best practice it whenever you are triggered.
Mm-hmm.
The first step is like being triggered by something, and then the second step is localizing it in your body, and then it goes on and on. It's 5 steps. And so I use this time, like whenever I have triggers, I'm like, yes, trigger. Okay, I'm just gonna go run, get my notes, write down. Okay, I got triggered by this today. And then at the end of the day, or like the next morning, I would be like, okay, what does that mean for me? And I would just go through the shadow. It's a great time for shadow work. Great time, because it's so easy to go within and clear and detox and clear and purge and just like let go of all of that, internal bullshit.
That is something that I have written down in my little points about surviving.
Yeah?
It's a good point to detox, and not just your body. This is a great time for a digital detox. And I know that that sounds really hypocritical coming from a social media platform. However, it is important for us to detox from technology. Like, that's what I do. When Mercury's not working with me, I can't figure out what's going on with like something I'm editing or a meme I'm trying to post. You know what I do? I put it down. I walk away.
Oh,
and I do. I'm like, all right, Mercury, you do your thing. And I will go and I will do something organic. Like I'll ground myself, or I'll meditate, or I'll pray or something, like just to get myself in a state where I can deal with it, because patience is something that I am continuously working on. And one day it will be my strong suit. I am not there yet.
This is the path of the spiritual master. It's truly to learn how to, it's like you master yourself, you master your emotions, your triggers. That's how you master the world.
Yes. So now that we've talked about most of the negatives that come with Mercury retrograde, and you guys, if you have other negatives that we missed, please share them in the comments down below. Like, we want this to be a community thing where people can get information, not just from us, from you guys. You guys have wealths of information, and we welcome you to share it on this platform with others, because that's what we're all about, right? So let's talk about some of the positives, because I have learned to love Mercury retrograde. I do get frustrated, I won't lie, about technology issues, but that's a common theme in my life, whether or not Mercury's going on or not. Technology issues just tend to get me all riled up. But there are some really amazing things about Mercury retrograde. So what do you love the most about Mercury retrograde?
I would just like take it from the last point that we were talking about, and you just said like there would be a glitch in the system. I'm trying to work on something on my computer, it wouldn't go through, and I'm like, oh, Mercury, I feel you. I see you're winking at me. You're telling me to do something. I just turn off my screen, my laptop, and then I just stand by the window and take a deep breath, and it's so easy to just fall into the depth of your psyche, with Mercury, because the logic is turned off, right? It's like lights out in your mind. So like it's almost like you're drowning, like you're heavy and you're like drowned at the bottom of the ocean. And it could be triggering to your emotions if you have claustrophobia and stuff. But if you work all these issues, and you feel like you're like at the depth of the ocean, and you feel like the water just surrounding you, and you can breathe under this water, and I think the most amazing peaceful moments can happen, because you can go deep within your psyche, and it's beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. I can't explain this experience, but it's a lot like meditation state, like just depth of the inner beast can be deepened so much more easier with Mercury. That's how I experienced it.
Well, and that's something that I am just going to assume, that Mercury retrograde in Pisces is going to allow us to dive deep. I am witnessing things in other people's experiences, like the past that's being brought to the surface, which is another thing I'm not sure if we mentioned. Past things that you thought you dealt with are being brought to the surface for you to meet it with new perspective and new vibration, and to practice your new ways of being. But I am witnessing specifically, like you said, this is a time to go deep, but with Pisces being such a deep emotional water sign, the ocean runs deep with them. So we're able to go into the deep, deep aspects of our being and bring them to the surface to transmute. And I'm witnessing things from the past for people that are coming up, and I'm talking like decades old, not just like, you know, a couple years old. People are dealing with really deep, deep rooted issues right now, but this is a beautiful time to do them. And you know, you've been preparing for this, you guys have been working so hard. If you're here, you're on the spiritual path, you're doing the work, you're prepared. Your soul doesn't bring you anything that you can't handle. You really truly are ready for it. And like, I truly believe that what's brought to the surface is what your soul feels you're ready. Like your higher self says, you know what, you are ready for this moment. Let's do this. So don't be scared. Don't be scared. You got this. Don't be scared.
Just go down and take that, like, see it as a chance for you to maybe, like, as we said, like, be the spiritual master, like actually taking things into, I don't want to say control, but bring yourself back into your soul alignment, your truth. It's about integrity. It's about truth. Like, do I really, like, I'm going fast in my life. Is it really the direction that I want to go to? Recheck with yourself. Like, is it really the direction that I want to go to?
Yes. And I mean, this is a little off topic, but it is kind of important for people to realize too. A huge transit happened on the same day, I believe, or else the day after. Uranus moved into Taurus. Uranus only moves every 7 years. And it is a huge transit. So right now as well, what's being brought to the surface is your foundations of what you prioritize in your life. What is important to you? What do you hold of value? What do you want to work for? This next 7 years is going to be readdressing, reassessing, rebuilding, and remaking these really imperative foundations within your life, in your core beliefs. So that is also being triggered right now. And don't be afraid of it, like, because we're experiencing an influx of all this crazy new energy, and we need to make room for it. And it's okay to reassess. That's the whole point of evolution, is constant changing.
Yeah. I want to also mention that it's you always, like, don't be scared, like, oh my gosh, I just have to wait for Mercury or wait for a transit. Those times are like catalysts for us. They help us to speed up our deepening, our healing, the triggers, letting go, and all these things. But every single day of your life that you have a chance, like, that's the ultimate message of all of these, you know, beautiful astrology events. It's like you have a chance, but you're being reminded for, you know, at this time you're being reminded you have this catalyzing, catalyzing, I would say. I don't know. Okay. Mercury moment for me.
Mercury.
Yeah, it's like it's conditions, like the universe is helping you to do that, but you always have the chance to stop and check with yourself at any moment, whenever you feel that I'm going fast, I'm feeling not comfortable, like I don't want to wait until I'm pushed to my edge so I can course correct my life. I should always make sure that how can I make sure that at each step I'm actually walking the path of my my higher self, the path of my truth.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to wait. I agree with that so much. Like, there's never a wrong time to do it. But when you can really use the energies of something like a retrograde to work on specific aspects of your life. I look forward to Mercury retrogrades because it's a time to finish projects. I have so many projects on the go all the time. I'm constantly creating stuff, and Mercury retrograde kind of allows you to pull back digitally because you're done with that, and you can really finish up a lot of projects. So this is a good time to finesse things as well, sharpen some skills, go inside and deepen your own progress. It's a really good time for kind of that background progress, because a lot of times our progress has a surface, but all the background noise and all of the stuff that it takes to create that surface, you know, those things get forgotten sometimes. Life gets busy, and this is a really good time for you to finish up a lot of things. So that's something I look forward to doing, is finishing up things and, you know, closing some doors. It's a really good time to finish up or tying up.
Yeah.
Sense.
Tying up things. Yeah, I love that word. And it's like it's hand in hand with the detox. One of the beautiful, exercises that you can do, or like a beautiful like practice, is that you can write in your journal, write everything that you think that you should do or you want to do. You can write everything down and then decide what do I need to cancel, totally cancel, just let go. That's it, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And what are the things that I need to finish? I started already, I just need to finish and make that a priority. And what are the things that maybe I need help with? I can delegate. I can like, instead of doing my own social media, I can like hire someone. I can hire a company to do the work for me. Mm-hmm. Or instead of, doing work around the house, I can just call someone that I know. They can do like, just let go of the shoulds in our lives.
Yes, this is it. You get really real. You get served a really hot cup of tea of what you actually can handle during Mercury retrograde. You may think you do all of this juggling, and Mercury goes, no. Let's take a couple of those balls, and it's good. It makes you really learn your own boundaries and really respect yourself. Because I think that we, in our society, we push and push and push. We're in this constant state of having to be a human doing instead of a human being. And Mercury retrograde will really teach you to be in the moment.
I love that. That's a beautiful mantra to go through Mercury with. I am a human being. I am not a human doing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful. So much needed.
So I think we covered up some stuff. I've got a few little things that I got from horoscopes.com that just some like warnings. So you definitely don't want to get into a negative cycle of thinking. Don't let yourself do that. If you find yourself thinking negative thoughts, kind of gently direct your thoughts towards the progress that you have been doing, because comparison is also a big theme that's going on this week. Don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to where you were yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago. Look at your progress. Pay attention to the positives, because you can really get caught up in a negative cycle. So that's something we definitely want to caution against. Another thing is, don't be a lone wolf. We can kind of get scared of interactions with one another during Mercury retrograde because of miscommunications, and you're kind of treading lightly. It almost feels like walking on eggshells because people are a little bit more agitated. They're a little more abrupt and abrasive. But this is really a time to practice holding your tongue, really holding space for people, and just allowing yourself to be vulnerable. Because I think in the spiritual community, we kind of put our guard up around this time because we just don't want to. This is not a time for confrontation. This is not a time to fix any problems or issues relationship wise. But this is still a time to be vulnerable with your people. Like when you need help, this is a time where we really have to be willing to, say, hey,
from the heart.
Speak from
I think it's easier to speak from the heart, and I wanna comment if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I personally, I'm not perfect. I do that. I get so irritated by people. I'm like, instead of, and I know that I get irritated, so biting my tongue like all the time, it's so hard. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to my room now. Most of the time, I'm just gonna go to my woman cave, or but this is the divine masculine in me. The masculine energy in me is like, you're gonna hurt someone, but with this sharp tongue of yours, just shut up. Just go to your room, meditate. This is a time where you need to be in a cave and meditate. If you know that you cannot handle yourself, I mean, it depends, but for me, I try, but if you still live with your family, and in the Middle East, a lot of us are still living with our families, and it's so challenging. So I'm like, withdraw. It's okay. Just be.
Yes. I think what this was cautioning, I totally get what you're saying. If you know that you can't say anything nice and you can't like not say anything at all, definitely have the awareness to pull yourself back. I think what they were trying to say though is don't get caught up in isolation with yourself, because sometimes when we isolate ourselves with our thoughts, especially when they're not on point with Mercury retrograde, they can run away with us. So having like your small tribe, people that you trust, to kind of like, if you're having some of those weird thoughts, Mercury retrograde thoughts, and you just kind of need to hash them out, you can have a friend or a sister or brother, whatever, somebody that you trust, that you can still be like, I'm experiencing these things, because it's not good to keep in what you're experiencing either. Like, you want to let that go. And sometimes like being social helps you realize too that you're not the only one suffering.
You're not alone.
You're not alone. And like, just when you become a lone wolf, I think a lot of times in Mercury retrograde, you become a little bit righteous and a little bit more entitled. Like, you can see people kind of just getting caught up with those ego thoughts and kind of getting combative because they don't have anybody else to balance out those thoughts, kind of thing. I think that's what they were trying to say. But like you said, have the awareness that if you can't bite your tongue, away. Just walk away. Because time.
And I have like I have the help this time around. I'm getting the help of Archangel Gabriel.
Oh, nice.
And it's Gabriel can like really help you like soothe, like really see that negative circle that you get yourself into, like negative thought, and he told me like this specific message: speak up, speak about it, speak up. Keeps telling me, speak up, speak about it. Don't keep it in. This is time to write things down, to speak, have a conversation, just be there. Don't, as you just said, I tend to push like my own righteous way of doing it is to just like withdraw from society. Like, I'm a werewolf, I need to withdraw or else I'm gonna hurt someone.
Right? Yes.
I love that you reminded me of that, so thank you so much.
Yeah, well, and these are things I think we all go through, and we all need the reminders no matter where we are on the path. Another thing that they caution against is don't exaggerate. This is not a time to exaggerate. You want to be very clean.
I am so guilty.
Of a point. I am a Sagittarius. Sometimes we do exaggerate. I have a Virgo rising sign, so people are actually often surprised that I am a Sagittarius anymore, because my Virgo comes out a lot more, especially during Mercury retrograde. Another thing that they caution against, like you said previously, it's not a good time to make big plans to travel or to present anything. If you can present, to do a presentation. This is something that horoscope.com this is a time to, this is just a time to, if you can avoid it, just because there could be psychological issues, which could make you frustrated, which will change your energy if you're not good at transmuting it. This is, if you can avoid it, do. If you can't, just breathe. This is not a good time to rely on technology. Rely on yourself, rely on organic things, check in on things organically. Like if you sent an email, like a really important email, call, make sure they got that fax, call, make sure, don't text, call them. It's not a good time to have unrealistic expectations or unreasonable timelines. So like, this is a really good time. Don't say like, I can fit all this into a day, there's enough room in the schedule. Block yourself extra time. Give yourself extra time. It's a few weeks, but if you can do that, then you won't feel that panic of, oh my gosh, I only allowed myself to have this amount of time to get this done, and now I'm going to be behind, and then you're going to get caught up in that a whole panic. And when you do, just take a moment, breathe.
If I may comment on that, like I would like tell you like a quick story of you, especially us who are like really affected by Mercury, how the day goes. You would wake up, the alarm goes on, or like the time to wake up comes in, and you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm gonna wake up, it's a beautiful day, and And then you remember you had the weirdest dream ever, because you have the weirdest dream with Mercury too sometimes. Like, it's so weird. It's like, what happened in that dream? I had like a bunch of dreams, and they're confusing me. Like, I'm confused. I don't know if am I still awake? Am I still dreaming? And then you're like, okay, that's it. I'm not gonna think about my dream. I'm just gonna wake up and start my day. This is reality. And you try to step out of bed, but all of a sudden your legs doesn't work for some reason.
Yeah.
You have like this weird muscle pain, like you can't move. You feel like, I can't move. And then you just start crying. You're like, I'm getting old. Then you just start crying for no reason. You get emotional.
Yes, the tears can come unexpectedly.
It's only the morning. It's only the few minutes of the morning. It's so stressful. And then you get like you start judging yourself and get to this negative cycle. Like, oh my gosh, I try to exercise, I try to eat well, and my body is still like not working with me.
Yes.
And then you start, going through the day, and like the cars breaking down. There's traffic. You look at the time and you think it's like 8:30, but it's 9, like it's 8. And you're like, well, I looked at the time. I'm sure like your eyes are blurry for some reason, and it's like so much stuff happens. So be really compassionate with yourself.
Be flexible. That's one of the points we're going to come up with how to survive. So just like and be patient with other people too. Allow them the space to run a little bit late. Don't demand something that is an unreasonable timeline right now. It's not fair, especially if you know. That's perfect to lead into some survival points of Mercury retrograde. So
let's talk survival.
Right. So this is a good time for a digital detox. Breathe. That is, that's just like a good tip for life. Breathe.
Yeah.
A lot of us forget to breathe or don't breathe properly. Set extra alarms. Don't rely on just one alarm. If you have something like really important, like a flight to catch or something, set 2 alarms, maybe 3. Just, you want to be crossing those T's, dotting those I's. This is a good time to be flexible. Like we were saying, be flexible in your plans, be flexible in what you are planning for yourself. Just be flexible. This is a really good time to learn to go with the flow and just allow it to take you. This is a good time to adapt. If things don't work well, this is a really good time to practice your skills of adapting. If, say you wanted to, let's give a really rudimentary example. If you wanted to go for Mexican food and the Mexican place is closed, adapt to Chinese. Just learn. Just figure out that it's okay to not have the plans work out. Adapt. Be patient. Good luck, everybody. Wish me luck with the being patient. I'm usually good for the first week. Second week, I start getting a little agitated. Third week, I've kind of reached my limit. And that's guys. Mercury retrograde lasts about 3 weeks. So it's going to be ending on the 28th of March. This one. Stay updated. So check in on your friends, check in at work, check in with any communication. Stay updated with what's going on. Don't expect to get notifications. Go actually and do that. Like I said, do the organic checking in. Don't rely on the technology. Back up everything. Back up your emails. Back up any of your work you're doing. Back it up a lot. That has happened to me before when I was in university. I did not back up a 10-page essay and I lost it. And it was due the next day. So yes, you guys, that kind of stuff can happen as well. Things can get lost in translation. So make sure you're backing up a lot of things. And then I did make a couple little extra notes on which signs in particular that this Mercury retrograde can be a little bit difficult for. So water signs and fire signs are the ones who are going to be the most affected by this particular Mercury retrograde. So for water signs, they definitely want to redefine roles and take creative risks and expand. So they got a little bit more of the positive effects of Mercury retrograde. time around, especially because, it's in Pisces. So it's a really good time for them to really look at what roles they have in their lives, what role they want to play, what role they want other people to play. And it's a good time to redefine those kinds of expectations. And then us fire signs, and speaking about me, we are going to struggle the most, apparently, with this Mercury retrograde and the negative things. So things that fire signs can expect: if you are a Leo, a Sagittarius, or a Aries, this could be a difficult challenge for your deepest connections. So they're being tested and they are being brought to the surface. They might be disrupted, very upset. This is a time to really keep your cool. So issues with family, issues with lovers, issues with best friends. And I'm not talking about like these surface relationships. We're talking about deep, deep connections that they are going to be triggered in ways, but that's not such a bad thing. So if you're a fire sign, make sure that you're blowing off a lot of steam. This is a good time to maybe up your athletic or your physical
performance.
Your physical performance or your physical way of dealing with your energy. This is a good time to go to the gym more, do more yoga, do a lot of physical things. That's really important for fire signs right now. But there was some really good news about this particular Piscean Mercury retrograde. There's going to be a lot of blocked funds released for people. So this is a time where unexpected money can occur. So that's really exciting. The one that I think most people will be excited about, like me, is this particular Mercury retrograde. A lot of family issues, deep-rooted family issues are going to be
already coming for me.
Yes, and they're going to be happily resolved. So there's a lot of resolution that's going to come if you can sit down and do the work and really figure it out. So that's really, really excited, or I'm really excited about that. So this is also just another time to just like a lot of financial unexpected abundance could happen for us in this particular Mercury retrograde. So
and if I might comment really quickly on this one, because I did, as I told you before, that I get mostly affected in the shadow period in the first week, and then it's smooth sailing for me. So I'm already experiencing two of these things, which is the family issues and the unexpected money that already happened to me. So it's so interesting.
That's awesome. And then the biggest caution that I found: this is not a time to have any friction with authority, you guys. Not a good time for that. That's a
serious one.
That's a pretty serious one. It's just this is not a time for that. That was like a big red flag that I saw in the little bit of research that I did. But there's some really good things coming out of this Mercury retrograde. I hope you guys are all faring well. Do you have any closing comments that you'd like to add to our Mercury retrograde survival episode?
Just one thing, which is these survival notes and the whole message of Mercury. It's a message of a lifetime. It's not just, as I said before, it's kind of like a lot of like mindfulness. It puts you through the challenge of even if you don't want to be mindful, if you don't want to be practicing mindfulness, I'm gonna make you mindful. Like I'm gonna make you, it's like a bit on the edge and make you deal with all of these things and expand your ability your capacity to tolerate, things that are in life that are out of control, and surrendering our will to the, to the highest good, and to just let things, as you said, let things be organic in our lives. I mean, you can take this message of Mercury as a message of a lifetime of living from an organic place, spontaneous place, from integrity, bringing all of these, nostalgia, there's a lot of nostalgia, but bringing like back these beautiful essence, like the ancient way of living, these simple ways of living, not complicating things, not putting, a mask on our feelings, on our truth. And the more that we are at our truth and living from integrity, these things, like they don't, even if they come to the surface, they don't, the recovery is, they don't like ruin our life I'm talking about how Mercury is ruining their life. It's not that it did that. It just pushed you, and you decided to give up and ruin your life.
Yes.
So yeah, it won't ruin your life if you just choose to take that lesson. Just take it.
Right. Well, and that's something that I believe you touched on a little bit earlier. It's all about perspective. You can go into Mercury retrograde expecting doom and gloom, and you're a powerful manifester. That's exactly what you're going to get. Or you can go into it realizing all these amazing things that could happen and make that conscious choice to choose to use these energies in ways that are going to help your growth, help you progress more, help your soul solution. Yes. Yeah, it's all up to you. It's all up to you. It's how you decide to approach it and view it. And it can be super powerful. I really hope that you guys all fare well with this Mercury retrograde and you really start to utilize it in ways that will accelerate your growth, because it truly can. Because when you revisit and you do all this blueprinting and all this planning now, when Mercury retrograde is over, you can get on that momentum, get into action mode, and it can be beautiful. And you've done all the background work. So now you can just do that surface work, right? So this is a really good time. Thank you so much, Ogana, for taking the time out to join in with me. Thank you, Mercury, for cooperating with us, because this seemed to have gone quite smoothly with our tongue, with the technology, everything. Thank you. Thank you.
We've got saying today, not taking it for granted.
No, we are going to show so much gratitude for that. And if you guys resonate with what we are doing, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends. You can find me furthermore on Instagram under Shine Bright Earthling. And I post a lot of tips and tricks of how to just navigate your spiritual life. I try to interrupt people's day with positivity and reminders of the greatness and the beauty in life. And you can follow Ogana as well at Ogana on Instagram. And if you'd like to just close off with a little bit of the services that you offer.
Yes, you guys, you can just follow my link tree on my Instagram, or just like find me on Calendly /Ogana, just book a session and let's just talk about it. Sometimes, sometimes you need a personal one-on-one talk, and it helps a lot. So Mercury and beyond. Thank you for listening to this episode till the end.
Yes.
It's been really fun.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us, you guys. We appreciate you taking time out of your day and vibing with us and listening to us. And we hope that you found some value in what we said. And always shine bright. We love you guys. We send so much love and so much gratitude for your journey. We know that the struggle can be real, but we promise it doesn't have to be. And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.